Hello and welcome to our last of the school year, our last episode of 25 with Tech 25. I'm Tim Higgins, Secretary here at District 25, and joined by nobody at the moment. Chris Fano should be popping in at some point through the course of our 25 minutes. But, we're just going to run solo for a while. And sort of this week, last week, is we figured it would be appropriate to talk about the end of the school year wrap-up. A couple things to keep in mind, some tricks and tips and suggestions to kind of stay sharp over the summer. And it's also a really great time to kick off we've talked about a lot of communication, a lot of organization, a lot of different tools that you can use and implement in your everyday throughout the course of this school year on these 25 at Tech 25s and in our other training. But summer, I think, is a perfect time to sort of kick it off and really dig into it and implement it to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success for next school year. And we'll get into those here shortly. But one of the things I kind of want to start off with, it is one of those things, is to keep an eye out for this later this evening or tomorrow morning when I usually send out the sort of recap email with today's video. Is also going to be a survey included to gauge sort of everybody's interests and preferences in terms of what sort of topics maybe we haven't covered that you'd want to hear about, topics that we have talked about and you'd like to hear more about, or maybe even hear about again. We have no problem sort of repeating some of the subject matter that we've talked about before, but really just to get an idea as to what has been valuable for you that we've offered this year, so that we can improve on those things and improve on the things that maybe haven't been so great or have been lacking or missing. So keep an eye out for that survey either later this evening or tomorrow. And the other thing is, since summer's starting, our BSTs have the summer off as well. So any tech support needs that you have, if a computer goes down, any questions, concerns, things that you want to find out about, we are here all summer. Normal office hours, about 8 to 4 every day. So I'll throw up the old Tech 25 email address.
Get in touch.
Get in touch with us. Yeah, we we're here all summer. We're here to help you out if you find yourself in a bind. So.
Yeah, well, I apologize for my tardiness.
Hey, no, it's no problem. We've got some things to deal with.
Yeah, but it's fun stuff. And what's fun about spring and summertime is cleaning. I know you're talking a little bit about that. And before you get into kind of some of the details, one of the pieces that I hope people think about when they're watching this show, and we're kind of talking through some of the ways to clean up and get organized, is the beauty of the discovery of some of the things that you find when you're doing that cleaning out. Just like you're cleaning out your house, your car, you find something that you didn't know you had, or you get re-inspired or reignited with an idea. I know I have that too. So just keep that in mind when you're going through your Google Docs or Evernote, if you use that, or your files. You never know where you're going to stumble across that may just be like, hey, I'm going to put that in place for next year. I'm going to revisit that and go. So hopefully it's not just functional, but it's also can be very inspirational.
Absolutely. And sort of speaking to that, of coming across those gems and things that you'd want to hold on to. So the first thing that we're going to talk about are preserving videos and photos. And the reason we kind of choose that first is because it kind of comes in the order of operations of getting rid of stuff, because videos and pictures take up the most amount of space. We tend to accumulate it without really going through them over from year to year. And I think really, using that summer as like this jumping off point, as a place to change a behavior, change habits, starting with pictures and videos, that might be a good spot. And so I'm going to jump in to Google Drive, because that actually is a really great place to use to store pictures and video, really, because here with our district accounts, I forget the amount that it is, but I think it's something like 50 gigabytes or something along some large amount of storage space that everybody has available to them. And getting that stuff off of your computer, which again has a fairly finite memory. We're getting more and more with Google every year, it seems. Google tends to expand that memory. Using Google Drive is a good spot. So I'm going to jump in here. I actually don't know whose Google Drive account this is, if this is Tech or Turtle, or if this is my very own. Looks like it's Tecker Turtle. Remember that you can do a new upload anytime from here, and that isn't just documents. You can upload any type of file here into Google Drive. This also, another reason for using Google Drive here at the end of the year is for all of our staff who, create things, who accumulate, files and ideas and different things, who might not have a computer issued specifically to them. If you've been saving it on a particular machine around the building or something, you can upload all of those files to Google Drive and have access to them from wherever you find yourself this summer. If might be on a beach in in the south of France, or just in your very own home for a staycation, you'd be able to get to all of that stuff that you might want that way. And so you can go into your Google Drive, click on the new button, and you can do either a file upload and do things individually, or what's really nice here, especially for folder full of videos or pictures, is you can do a folder upload as well. And so load up a folder, pop it right into Google Drive, and then you'd find it here in your main drive. There's actually another aspect of Google Drive here, Google Photos, that might be useful for you as well. And I was going to mention, if you have your iPhoto, or even your own mobile device or an iPad in the room filled with pictures, uploading those pictures to services like Flickr or Shutterfly, or any of just the online photo management piece of software, where it puts the pictures up in the cloud, gets it off of your own machine, of your own devices, to kind of free up space for other things. The other great thing is all of these services you can typically upload straight from a mobile device as well. So you don't even have to go through that transfer process. You just throw it up on here. And once you're in one of these photo management sites as well, you can then break it down into folders and different organizations that make it easier to access. I also really stress the whole idea of going through, and the great thing about digital media is that we have the ability to save a lot of it, to access it, or to capture it on all sorts of different devices anywhere. The problem with that is then you end up with, instead of, you used to have 24 pictures on a roll of film, you now end up with 3,000 pictures of the same event. I would really urge everybody to, before uploading a ton, or immediately after uploading, go through and just pull out even, I think 24 is a great number to shoot for, just because it has such a history with photography. Is grab the 24 best pictures from your whatever the event was, or from your classroom from this year. You probably aren't going to go through 1,000 pictures in the future, but 24 you very well might. So using Flickr, Shutterfly, Google Photos within your Google Drive, or just the Google Drive in general, great places to get all of those pictures and video off of your computer, saved somewhere on the cloud, so it's protected, but so it also isn't taking up a whole bunch of space on your machine. It's a great thing to do. And so that's again, mostly photos. However, we also have lots of video that we tend to accumulate, and so with every Google Drive account, we also have a YouTube account. So if you have actual finished videos, finished projects from students that you want to hold on to, you put together videos that you would like to save, just capturing your classroom, throwing them onto YouTube is a great place. Again, saves it in one specific place that you can always go to, and then it also is clearing off that space on your computer, that ever valuable space. And again, it takes no real setup. You can just go into YouTube, you click on this little menu over in the left-hand corner and click on your channel. And from here, there is an upload option in the upper right-hand corner where it lets you grab your video straight off of your computer. And if maybe you have a whole bunch of video clips that, again, if you have 50 different clips of things that have gone on this year, more than likely you're not going to take on the task or the opportunity to go and watch them in the future. But if you have a 5-minute video that you can either create yourself by editing it down in a program like iMovie, which is on every computer that we have here in the district, issued and for general use. Right here we see the purple star up here. You can rock out iMovie and just throw together a simple video. You can reference back to our iMovie 25 with Tech 25s that happened earlier in the year. And you can always access that by doing a search for 25 with Tech 25 here on YouTube. And it'll usually come up here. My name is typically the one tagged with it. But you'd be able to scroll through here and find our for our iMovie and our video episodes here. Another option is a cool site called Magisto. I think that's how you'd say it.
Sounds good to me.
And this is kind of neat because it does the editing for you. So you have to create an account, but what you end up doing is uploading just footage, like little clips. You pick a theme, you pick some royalty-free music, and it just takes those clips, it selects sections out of it, throws it into a little musical kind of montage, and kicks out a little video that that you didn't have to edit. You kind of let it go through its process, and then you get, again, a nice little collection, a nice little montage of the clips that you threw in there. So that might be a great way also to save some video, to be able to then have your own little digital media time capsule that you can look at down the road.
Yeah, just to talk a little bit more about preserving videos and photographs, just to jump in, I think there's a good time to just remind all of our staff, if you do have personal videos or photographs, this is a great way in your own personal Gmail account or your own Google Drive or on your own YouTube channel to get those off as well. We don't want those stored on the district equipment. So the summertime is a good time to just make sure all that stuff is cleaned off and you can preserve that for your own home use, so that as we do updates or swap outs in the near future, that you don't lose that critical home material as well. So just, again, the things that Tim showed you can apply to making sure you preserve your own home kind of pictures and videos.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the media side of it, the memories that have been preserved. I figure we do that first because it's a little bit more interesting and more useful, but we're going to get into the nitty-gritty then and just talk about some files, your file structure, and two different places in which you might want to, which might be a great opportunity this summer to sort of kick into some good habits going forward, to set yourself up again for sort of some organizational success for next year. And one of the main things is just the files on your computer. I couldn't tell you how many computers that are brought to me with all sorts of different, whether it's a simple question that, that relates to that or not, but desktops just full of files, documents folders just filled with an almost never-ending, just scrolling list of files that are sort of unmarked and unorganized and ungrouped. And so setting up a file structure that may be going into next year, because again, if it seems too daunting to go through every single file that you have, then what I suggest and what I've done in the past is set up sort of the files the way that I would like to keep them, the way that I kind of even think of organizing. And here's in Google Drive, just for example, I'm just going to jump in here for a second because it applies in both places. I have the different sections of my particular position. So I have the secretary grouping, I have the training professional development grouping, then the video and media grouping. So, those are my header folders. And then once we kind of jump down in there, you have some just lower level folders to further sort of flesh out my organization. What is useful about this then in Google Drive here is then, so the secretary, the training PD, the video stuff is those headers anyways are going to carry into next year. However, like just this year's video, I want to start fresh with this. I don't want to be dealing with a whole folder full of all sorts of videos next year. So what I'm going to do is click on that particular folder. I'm going to rename it. And I'm going to do video for the 2015-16 school year. And then I'm going to come over here to our little caret to sort of spin down my hierarchy of folders here. And I've created a folder in my Google Drive called Archive. And within Archive, I have created folders for each school year that I have been around and accumulating stuff. And so here's the 15-16. And what I'm going to be doing is just clicking and dragging my video, now video 2015-16, here into the 2015-16 folder in my archive. At that point then, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to put a little underscore so that app puts the folder up to the top of the listing there. And I'm going to create a brand new video folder. I had it color-coded red, so I'm just going to come into my More Options, change color back to red, and now I have a folder that is now ready to accumulate the 2016-17 videos that I accumulate. So kind of doing things like that, throwing things off into an archive, and then just setting yourself up again for organizational success going into next year. Because now there's not a way for all this video to stay sort of free and clear off here. You have a place to put it, which is important. Because in the heat of doing some sort of activity, you aren't typically going to go through the process of creating your organization right then and there. So to be able to do that previously.
And one of my favorite things to do, just while you're on the screen, if you click on that last modified tab over by owner, keep going to the right, yep, down a little bit, last modified, that one there, and click it again. Depending on how you sort it, I mean, you could really go back in time and see when the last time you even touched some of these items are. It will sort, again, whether you're in here or the Finder, it will sort by date it was modified or date it was created, depending on which one. And you get a pretty good sense of maybe some things you haven't touched for 3 or 4 or 5 years. And can those go and be archived, or do you need to update where their location is too? So they have a couple of those tools. Google Drive only has one. The Finder has some other that you can even get at things you haven't touched for a while.
Absolutely. And so sort of to speak to that as well as, it very well, you're going to have folders in there. You're going to have files that truly have not been touched. One actually great example of a place on your computer where that's going to be the case is going to be your downloads folder. We've cleaned it out on a recent show. This is the way that the downloads folder should always look. Maybe 2 or 3 little items in there that are still waiting to be assigned somewhere into a hierarchy of folders. But keeping this clean saves all sorts of space on here, and it helps you keep organized. Once you get yourself into a habit of downloading some sort of file. I think mine's kicking out we've probably said it in the past to go to the desktop, but once you download things, I don't like to leave it in there for too long. I like to take this and then throw it into a folder hierarchy in which that particular item would be easily found when you're trying to clean that sort of stuff up. So downloads folder, temporary holding place. Drop it into a folder in your document section. So here we have an organization here. I'm going to do Shift Command N to get a new folder here. And so from my downloads folder, anytime I download something, I'm going to want to drag it into a appropriate folder. Again, setting yourself up. Now, one thing we were talking about, we can make a folder that's an archive. However, chances are a huge percentage of that stuff that's in there is not going to be stuff that you want to keep. It's still going to be taking up all sorts of space unnecessarily, because more than likely it was something that was downloaded or created just for a specific project that might be over, or an example to give to somebody that they now have. So I would say, if we're pretending that our documents folder here is my archive, I would go through here before fully archiving it and just cleaning some stuff out. And you can again select multiple files in a row by clicking on the first, holding the Shift key, and then clicking the last. That'll select a whole bunch, and we can then either drag it to the trash, or we can click, and if you hold the Command key, you can select non-sequential files, and you can click on this little action button up here, and you can move it to the trash that way. So I would suggest, again, before throwing a folder into an archive, go through there. Get rid of the stuff that you don't need. We know we tend to, so when we see things, rationalize that, we're going to use this later on down the line. Be honest with yourself. You're most likely not going to. It's like all the stuff that shows up in your crawl space.
Right.
More than likely, you only find value in it because you saw it. The other 364 days of the year, you wouldn't be using it.
I agree, and I think it's probably appropriate to talk 2 minutes about you desktop lovers out there who love to keep everything on there. Even from the Finder window, you can click on desktop, or you can see it if you close all your windows. Again, this is a great time to get that stuff off of your desktop, get it organized, put it into Google Drive, into your folders, or throw it out, because for as much as people talk about the performance of their machine, there is a lot of documentation out there that a highly crowded desktop does have an impact on how fast your machine goes. And so again, that would be a good little challenge for all of you desktop holders out there, is to use, again, these same methods to clean that up. You might even see that you get a little bit snappier performance out of your laptop.
Absolutely. And so, for example, as well, so again, to sort of this archiving idea, it's fine to save stuff that you think you might use later on, things that you've accumulated over the years. But I would really just suggest having one of those sort of general archive folders that's out in the open, that's higher up in the hierarchy, that you can see it straight away, so you know that it's there, you don't forget about it. And so I'm going to just throw a whole bunch of folders. So that's, we'll say that this is going to be our 25 with Tech 25 Tecker Turtle demo account archive for this year. I don't know what I just did. So we're going to just make a new archive folder here. That disappeared into another folder. And instead of wasting all of your time and me trying to track it down, we're just going to make a new one for now. But I'm just going to click and drag all of this into the archive folder. And then again, it's taken up all sorts of space. So pretend that I went through all those folders. I cleaned out the junk I don't need, and it's truly just the valuable stuff. The next step to this could be bringing it up to Google Drive and being able to save it up there. Because actually what's going to be happening next year is, instead of our computers backing up to the server, everybody's computers are going to start being set up to back up to your Google Drive. And so this is another great reason to clean out the files you don't need, because you don't want to be backing up a whole bunch of stuff that is garbage. But essentially, we're going to set it up so that this Google Drive, we can access Google Drive here in your Finder. We're going to set up the app on everybody's computers so that you'll have the Google Drive tab here. And essentially, once you have that set up, and that application you can download yourself, we could easily just drag a folder over to Google Drive, takes it off the computer, and saves it up on your Google Drive, making it accessible both on your desktop like normal. So if there was a Word document here, we could launch it. It would launch into Word on your computer. Or I can come over to Google Drive. And once it syncs and everything starts showing up here, we'd start to see it here in the Google Drive, where you can then access it here.
And so, just important to note as we're going in that direction, if you look at Tim's menu here, it looks nice, it's got folders. If you have everything separated in Google Drive, when we make that move, these lists are going to get really, really, really long. So again, it's a good time to figure out your organizational structure and start doing that this summer, just so you have things in the right space, so they're not just one big long list of open files all the time.
Absolutely. So bottom line, just start organizing your folders. And again, if you have any questions for us, 25 or just tech25 at sd25.org, or you can email any of us individually, and we'd be happy to walk you through maybe some strategy work through and brainstorm some strategy for you, especially if you feel like you're lost in the avalanche of files that you have.
Yep.
So just some other, in the last minute or two, just some other like little housekeeping type things is that at the end of every year, as normal, we're going to be breaking down the classrooms, having everything set up in a way that it's optimum for the devices so that they're not damaged or worn out for next year. So anything that's plugged in, going to unplug it. Try to keep everything together so that we're not losing things, as you know, as is inevitable in sort of our current situation of, you know, being challenged with finding the right spaces and things in different buildings. Classrooms get moved, things like that. So if you can, you know, even just grab a, you know, plastic jewel bag or something to put all of the cables in, all, you know, flash drives and adapters and all that sort of stuff, just keeping it all together and labeled with your name on it or your room number on it, just so you know, just it helps the BST in the building that much more next year when we're trying to get everybody, all of you, set up to project and to do everything again, just to know where it all is.
And I think that's a very great way to end this show, of thinking about next year. So we know that when everybody comes back, they want to get started right away. They want to have technology available. We have our staff trying to get everything up to date. But it's the cables that are bent or missing, or the adapters that can't be found, or a charger that now something isn't plugged in because something got moved. The more we can do now to get all of that stuff together, work with your building tech staff to make sure it's housed correctly, then the quicker and easier we can get things set back up in the fall and get people up and going. So again, hopefully you have some time this summer to organize your own equipment, but even leading into that, you have some time to get your stuff in your room, track down those, you know, memory cards and cables and chargers, and get everything organized so you're ready to roll in 2016-17.
And along with the sort of the physical technology, also just keeping in mind all of the different accounts that you've used with your students all year. You know, the Seesaws, the Edmodos, the Schoology, if you've been using that, Weebly, all those sort of things that might have pictures and work and things from this year stored on them. Just, you know, again, it makes it that much easier for you. One less thing to do if you, you know, in those last couple of days that we have, clear out, you know, the student accounts that you've created and make it ready to be able to upload the new ones next year. And, you know, again, it's forcing you to kind of take a look at things now, because, you know, it's very easy to sort of think like, oh, well, you know, next August, in the week leading up to school, I'll take a look through all of my sites. You know, truth is, when you get there, you probably don't want to do it. So just sort of taking care of it now, your future self would, I'm sure, greatly appreciate it going into next year.
Absolutely.
So, you know, enjoy summer. Stay sharp. You know, read all your tech blogs and your tech magazines, and see what all the cool stuff is. Come back with us. Come back to us with some ideas next year, and enjoy the summer.
Thank you.